Good evening from New York. This is Tuesday, October 26th, 7 days until the 2010 midterm elections. 1 week left, and as of today, the last figment of pretense is now long gone. It's no longer a battle of red versus blue, as a new Republican campaign ad reveals it's white versus non-white. Our fifth story tonight, the woman who wants to unseat Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid previously ran ads linking Reid to illegal immigration. In those ads, Republican candidate Sharon Angle hedged her bets a little. She told Hispanic kids that the menacing figures in her ads were not necessarily Hispanic. She said that her emphasis on illegal immigration had nothing to do with Latinos per se, that she did not even think the tough guys in her ad were necessarily Latino, because America, she said, has a problem with its northern border too. And yet even these ads, these semi-plausible deniability ads, invoked outrage and condemnation from even Republican Hispanics, including a former spokesperson for Angle herself. Not to mention that the claims about Reid's record in these ads were assessed as false or misleading by both local journalists and national fact-checking groups. So what does Angle's new ad do? Walk back her claims against Reid? Moderate her stark contrast of innocent white Nevadans with surly, threatening Latinos? No, she's upping the ante, dropping the Canadian fig leaf. This ad leaves no doubt the Mexican president appears, the border crossing at El Paso, and yes, squinty-eyed, brown-skinned young men coming for Nevada's school children. Not the black ones, nor the Latino ones, nor the Asian ones, the white ones.
I'm Sharon Angle, and I approve this message.
Waves of illegal aliens streaming across our border, joining violent gangs, forcing families to live in fear. And what's Harry Reid doing about it? Voting to give illegal aliens Social Security benefits, tax breaks, and college tuition. Voting against declaring English our national language twice. And even siding with Obama and the President of Mexico to block Arizona's tough new immigration law. Harry Reid, it's clear whose side he's on, and it's not yours.
Today, a coalition of Latino and immigration groups, America's Voice, Campaign for Community Change, and Mi Familia Vota, rolled out a print and radio campaign of their own, both in Nevada and in Colorado. In Colorado, where Republican Senate candidate Ken Buck has waged a campaign similar to Angle's. The new ads telling Latinos, quote, "This election day, show the power of your voice to those who would silence it." With us now, Gabe Gonzalez, National Campaign Director at the Center for Community Change. Thank you for your time tonight, sir.
Thank you. It's actually the Campaign for Community Change.
My apologies for the misnomer. Another member of your coalition put out a statement that said, quote, "Sharon Angle is running the ugliest anti-immigrant, anti-Latino campaign in history." But her ads are suggesting that she's talking about illegal immigrants. Why is that not accurate?
Well, you know what they say. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. And if you look at those ads, it's pretty clear what she's doing. She's taking people who look a lot like me, dressing them up like gang members and saying they're a threat to the community. So, you know, she can say one thing, but it's pretty clear what she means. And those of us in the Latino community are not fooled.
The new campaign here, the Angle obviously knew that these ads would outrage the Hispanic community and right-thinking people. Is it possible that your outrage actually helps motivate her base? Is it that messed up now?
You know, I really can't say what motivates her base. I do know that one thing it's going to do is it's going to motivate the Latino vote and anybody who cares about whether we have overt racism in campaigns anymore. This is just another example of somebody who is desperate to get ahead and willing to use just about anything to do it. So she's basically standing on the backs of Latinos throughout Nevada and throughout the country in order to make sure that her campaign is viable.
We know, of course, the Willie Horton ad used by Bush 41, blatant racism that played on white fears of violence from black young men. Jesse Helms, an infamous ad that played on white fears minorities that they would take their jobs in a Senate race. Obviously, they're remembered today as vile. What is often forgotten is they seem to have worked. Won't it work this time for Angle and Buck? Is there a way to prevent it other than the obvious?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I'd say about that. The first one is, you know, going back to Willie Horton, Lee Atwater repented that on his deathbed, and I really hope that Sharon Angle sees the light before she has to see her maker and really, you know, comes to terms with this. But, you know, in terms of why this wouldn't work this time, I think the country's smarter than that. Basically what she's doing is she's acting like a bully. She's desperate to get ahead. She's in a state of Nevada, a state that's got a myriad of problems. It's got problems with unemployment. It's got problems with foreclosures. And she still can't get ahead in the polls. So she's basically picking on the weak kid. She's picking on the undocumented because they don't vote. So she's saying to the undocumented, meet me at the polls on November 2nd. We'll settle this once and for all. I personally don't think America likes bullies. When I was growing up in Indiana at Eastport Elementary School, we know how to deal with bullies. You stand up to them. So what we think is going to happen, what we're asking people to do, is take her up on it. Yeah, we'll meet you at the polls on November 2nd. We'll settle this once and for all. I just don't think America likes bullies, and I don't think that they're going to support stuff like this.
Last question. In your experience, Mr. Gonzalez, what is the biggest impediment for getting Latinos to vote?
I don't think there's really an impediment, actually. If you look at the numbers, in 2006, record numbers came out. In 2008, you can arguably say that they were part of the majority that helped elect the president. And we think when you compare the numbers of this year to the last midterm election, you're going to see an increase in Latino votes. That said, Latinos are like everybody else. If you want them to come out on election day, you got to give them something to vote for. If there were two things that I would identify that Latinos really care about, one is comprehensive immigration reform. So we've got to find a practical solution, not scapegoating, not racism, but a real solution to the problem. And the second one is, like every other American, it's jobs. We've got to figure out what's going on with unemployment. We've got to do a better job at this. And we've got to have people who have practical solutions and not engaged in race baiting and scapegoating.
Gabe Gonzalez, the National Campaign Director at the Campaign for Community Change. My apologies for the misnomer at the beginning. And thanks again for your time.
No worries.